This is Redline News Network. My name's Jet Likings.
And I'm Vic Morano. Welcome to your home for automotive and supercar community news.
As a reminder, next week we have a brand new episode of Taking You to Redline. This premieres Wednesday at 10 a.m. We have a special guest for you. However, we're not going to tell you who that is, but let me just give you a hint. They know their way around a V10 twin turbo, or 3, or 16.
This week on Redline News Network, supercar parts store, new mansions, skylines, and airplanes. Speaking of airplanes, Jet, what do you think about the automotive community crossing over to the aviation community?
You know, it's kind of interesting. Obviously, we've seen Dave from DDE, his Instagram lately, looking at airplanes to make it over to Kelowna a little bit quicker. This week, we saw Amelia possibly getting into her pilot's license coming soon. I don't know. Maybe we'll have some collaborations with Trent Palmer coming up soon.
And as you know, Alex Choi has already had his pilot's license, and even Stradman is thinking about getting into flying. Only time will tell.
Starting off this week, we're going to get into that mystery flight. Now, Royalty Exotics on November 25th, we see the title of the episode saying they're going to trade the Bugatti for a wrecked Huayra. Now, if you watch this episode, you'll see that Houston has the opportunity to buy the wrecked purple Huayra from Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas, to currently match the car they have in their fleet. And now this is an Easter egg. You know, what other purple car do they have in their fleet? But this is where we get into the plane mix-up. So this flight was going to originate in Las Vegas and land in Dallas-Fort Worth. Now, it looks like they start off in a Southwest 737 because Southwest only has 737 airplanes. And then in flight, it looks like they're in a wide-body Delta jet, like a 767 or maybe an A330. This is definitely not in Southwest livery, nor does Southwest have this type of airplane. And then later on in that flight, you'll see them in a different plane, possibly like an A320 or something like that. And then they land at DFW. Now, this is the key, because if you've ever been to DFW, Southwest does not fly into DFW. They fly into Love Field, which is actually closer to Dallas. So where did they actually go? Hopefully we find out soon. But basically, the Huayra had some monocoque damage. Basically, it would cost about $1.5 million to repair, and I don't think they're going to do it. The next episode, they get into a world record Gallardo engine install. Basically, Andy does the swap, you know, some cool stop motion. They test drive it with a 5.0. And then they actually tease about trading it at the end. And this takes us into the next episode. They do trade it for the black 650S that they used to have. Now, this 650S actually caught on fire because the oil cap was left off. But the thing comes back. It's in rough shape, but they are going to basically part it out and take all the parts out. Now, what is Houston doing here? You know, Houston's a smart guy. You know, he has a rental car business. He flips cars. But is Houston gathering these parts to open up a, you know, possibly a supercar parts store? We know about all the Bugatti parts. We know about the Lamborghini parts. Now he has all these 650S parts. Maybe there's going to be Royalty Exotics parts coming out soon.
Over to Stradman, Friday, November 27th. Strad finally receives the title for his Bugatti. That's good news, but at the same time, it's not. Utah sales tax is 7.25%, leaving him with a whopping $63,800 sales tax. We see the 6x6 Jeep Gladiator one last time before getting sent to the body shop, where it will stay from 45 to 50 days to get a custom-made extended bed. In Monday's video, we get an update on his dream house build. He wants to get a quote from multiple different general contractors, which is common when building your own house. The first bid comes in at $1.5 million. He added a $175,000 upgrade to the garage, of course, a bat cave. That's right, an underground garage, doubling his garage space from 8 to 16 cars. Wednesday's video, he buys an R35 GTR. Now, this is not the JDM car. The JDM car is still to come. He made that clear. The goal with this car is to make it a Bugatti killer. That's right, he wants to make it faster than his Bugatti Veyron, shooting for around 1,400 horsepower. And at the very end, we get a little Easter egg from James that the Mark IV Supra may be right around the corner.
Let's get into that Skyline news with DDE. Now, a few videos from them this week. We start off with them saying goodbye to Mia's car. Basically, they're sending the Gallardo and the 720 GTR over to get a carbon fiber chassis mounted wing on the GTR, and then also to get the Gallardo registered. Damon asked the fam if we want to see them actually get a race car, which could be cool. And then they also spec out their STO. Now, this is actually the first car that they spec'd out. Typically, they just buy what's on the floor or they buy used models. Kind of cool. Seems like they're leaning towards a white version of this so they can put their own livery on it. Now, next episode, they're shopping for 2 winter beaters. They joke about using the Squadra as a winter beater, but then they realize that the parts are just, they're impossible to find for that. And then we see like this bromance that continues to brew between Anthony and Damon. Seems like Dave is actually being left out a lot lately. They then go shop for a new winter beater for Anthony. They're looking at a 458, an R8, a GTR. They go test drive the R8 and the GTR. Seems like Anthony wants the R8, likes it better. They run a poll on Instagram, and it seems like the GTR, the Nissan, actually wins it the next day. And then on December 2nd, we see the chassis mounted wing on the 720 almost complete. Now, this is an all carbon fiber wing. It looks just like the real P1 GTR wing, but it comes from Vorsteiner. It's actually made for the 570. So they're going to have to do some massaging to make it work. And that the job might be tougher than the Aperta. They actually have to cut a $20,000 bumper to fit this wing. They then joke about what plate, specialty plate, license plate that they're going to give to Mia. And we at Redline News Network think that they're going to give her the Baskin plate from Carol Baskin from Tiger King. That would be pretty funny. And then they joke about getting the GTR and that it's not a supercar, it's a Nissan, and that Nissan makes small compact vehicles. DDE, did you forget about Lamborghini making tractors? And then we get into the next day on Instagram and we see that the Aperta is almost complete. Check this thing out.
Street Speed 717, November 29th, Mike hits the trails and gets some use out of that tube chassis Blazer. He then assesses the damage of his old OG Duramax that was crashed last week. Most of all the body panels are toast. The leaf spring and suspension mounts are bent, but the frame is not bent. It is still salvageable. Mike then goes to pull out of his driveway, and then the upper control arm shears off completely, leaving the wheel limp. He goes to back up and eventually snaps the axle, dragging the wheel. He does plan on rebuilding it, though. He got quoted $15,000 to fix everything.
Now let's take it back to some more aviation and supercar collaboration news with Amelia Hartford. Now, the first episode this week from her is her talking about buying a supercar. Basically, she's looking for a new shop and looking for a new daily because the Prius is now not a daily. And then she says she wants to buy a supercar for that daily. Now, she has a laundry list of supercars she wants to buy. Try to stay with me here. She's looking at a 580-2 Huracan, a 550-2 Gallardo, an R8, a 360, a 430, a 458, an MP412C, a 650, an AMG GTR, an R35 GTR, an ACR Viper, and a Porsche Taycan. We will see, what she picks. But during this episode, she goes through a lot of throwback footage, like when she was with DDE, filming for DDE way back in the day. It was really a trip down memory lane during this episode. At the end, she asked Matt Farrer from the Smoking Tire what he would choose, and he says an R8 V10. Now, next episode is the first drive on the K-Swap Prius. Now, they mount this clutch pedal in a pretty cool place. They get the throttle cable put on, and then they have an issue with a vacuum leak, and it's basically due to where the map sensor is mounted, but they get it fixed. She also ran some polls on her Instagram on what supercar she should get, and she ran it between the 580-2 Huracan versus the 458, the Huracan won, and then she also ran one against the 580-2 or an R8, and it looks like the 580 won again. Looks like the 580 might be the next car for Amelia Hartford. Now, we also learned for the first time that she's going to be getting her pilot's license. She's been studying hard, and so we will have another supercar community member getting into the aviation world. What's next? Are they going to be LS swapping a Super Cub with Mike Patey? Only time will tell. She then goes for a drive with Sandy and Sean in the world's first K-Swap Prius. The thing drives. They have some stuff to iron out, but it's pretty much done. done. Next, she's going to install the eBay turbo and put it on the dyno.
Over to TJ Hunt. Friday, we get to see the Aventador completely unwrapped, showing off that OEM pearl yellow paint. He does not know the future of this car, but he does mention that it is not leaving anytime soon. Sunday's video, he checks out his future house, currently in escrow. December 7th, he will officially own it. We get to see the pool, the waterfall, and get a garage walkthrough. In Tuesday's video, TJ kicks off his first day of Vlogmas. He'll be vlogging every day with a new video. He has a bunch of recalls for a C8 Corvette. He takes it to the Chevrolet dealership and is curious to see if he'll have any issues getting the car serviced with the twin turbo kit he has installed. And remember, the new Hunt & Co. winter collection is live. So if you guys want to snag some merch, head over to thehuntandcompany.com.
Let's kick off the next segment with Mondy. Now, 2 videos from him this week. We start off with the first one with him learning that the RWB is 99% done. And now I just want to take a break and talk about his editor. Now, Mondy's video editor is just, he's hilarious. This guy's inserting comments, correcting Mondy, saying that he didn't tell Mondy, that Mondy is saying that he did tell him. This guy's just hilarious. If he's ever looking for a job, come on over to RNN. But I want to take a break and talk about Mondy's taste. It's kind of interesting. Now, they go over to AR Motorworks, and he didn't like the Rocket Bunny NSX. And he also didn't like the stock burbles on the GTR Pro, if you remember that. It's kind of cool that Mondy goes his own way, where, you know, most of the community goes a different way. After that, they go over to RDB to look at an RWB, and the thing is looking pretty good. It's almost done. A couple days later, we learn the harsh reality of owning that RWB. Basically, he gets it back, and the dash lights are on. They're beeping. This thing needs shocks. The sway bar link is missing a bolt. And then after that, we learned that him and Houston got in a lot of trouble from a previous video that they made. They're in a lot of trouble from a manufacturer, actually. If you want to learn who this manufacturer is, watch that video. They do blur it out, but you can figure out who it is. But basically, Houston goes and tries to buy a Ford GT and finds out that he's actually getting sued from this manufacturer, and that he can never buy a new one again. And then he's banned from this manufacturer's cars for life. I mean, this is horrible. It's tough stuff. After that, we learned that there's a big project coming soon. 6 months from now, we'll find out what it is. But basically, it's a $5 million project. It's going to produce $250,000 a weekend. What is this? Is it a racetrack rental? Is it a new rental business? Or maybe are they opening up a food truck? We'll see. We're going to leave you with this, though, on that $5 million project. If you remember from a couple months ago on Mondy's channel, him and Houston discussed how they were going in on a hot chicken restaurant. Now, this would be something like a couple locations. They'd franchise it out and build it across the country. There'd be food trucks involved. And they said this project was launching pretty soon. And here we are 2 months later, it's not launched yet. So is this $5 million project actually Mondy's hot chicken or Royalty Exotics hot chicken? We'll see.
Doug Demuro with 2 car reviews this week, the Ram TRX and the new to him Audi RS2 Avant. Donut Media with 4 videos this week, 9 cars that don't lose value, can a crossover be a muscle car, cheap versus expensive gas, and is your car safe to turbo? Hoovies Garage with 2 videos this week, buying a very broken E30 325iX and the fate of SLS AMG. Vinwiki with 6 videos this week, all types of vehicle titles explained, 2,000 horsepower Viper uses 4 gallons per mile, top 10 stories from John Tamarian, how exotic rental companies commit fraud, best $500 any car enthusiast can spend, and how to beat speeding tickets during COVID.
Guess what, Redline citizens? Tavarish is back. Now, he is coming back with a vengeance. He says he's going to do a video every other day going forward for this month of December. We start off this week with 10 crazy cheap luxury cars that make you look rich. The next episode is a garage update. Now, this is a huge update going through every one of his cars. And then he tells us that December is just going to be a huge month and make sure you're watching. They then give us a Car Trek Christmas rough cut sneak preview. And basically it's the three guys in the back of a truck with a hood on being dropped off in a forest. Now, do they have to escape? Do they have to find their way home? I can't wait to figure it out. And then we also learned that Tavarish is looking for a new baby mobile. Basically, his wife needs a new car, and then he wants the fans to recommend it. So if you want to help Tavarish pick out a new baby mobile, head over to his channel. And then the last episode from him this week was buying a BMW for $600, and it might have cockroaches. Rich rebuilds. One episode from him this week. Now, I can't tell if Rich is serious or not. This is the video to watch. It's hilarious. Now, he starts off with a project update, gives us an update on the Mini. Basically, he's waiting for a charger. And then we get an update on the Duramax. He's waiting on parts to make it faster than his BMW i8 and a quarter mile. But then we get a tour of Linda's RV, because basically she lives in this thing, not down by the river, just lives in it. And it's just a funny episode. So check it out. Thanks for coming back and checking out this week's episode. As a reminder, make sure you check out Taking It to Redline next Wednesday at 10 a.m. Eastern. We'll have a special guest for you. Now, if you haven't already, follow us on Instagram to keep up to speed with everything Redline.
And if you want to help us out, hit that subscribe button. And if you have an extra second, like and comment. Stay tuned every Friday for new videos.
Until next time,
keep it at Redline.